Hello there. Thanks for joining me again for another exciting time on television, talking sports and mixing it with business. Of course, talking sports business. Gidi Olano is my name, and welcome to Sport Exchange. On today's show, we will be looking at the 2023. Yes, it's in 2023, but we'll be looking at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Yeah, qualifiers and why it is not on TV. What is the cause of the blackout? And what is the feeling that we are getting from fans all over Africa? It is not a Nigerian thing. It's not exclusive to Nigeria alone. But it is one issue we really have to talk about. And that will be part of the show today. And of course, we will, at some point, we'll be taking a report on sports and tourism. Yeah, it's serious. Sports is serious business, and sports tourism is big. And if you are going to watch a game if you're watching a game in any city you live in, or you are traveling with any club that you love, that is tourism. So you already engaging in sports tourism in case you follow a sport passionately or you follow a team passionately, because you can travel anywhere they are. So you can travel to see their games or to watch from with fans, especially maybe in a gathering or anywhere you are so much engrossed with getting a bit of the sports you love. Then that is how sports tourism starts. So you're one of those that will the sports tourism is targeted at. Okay, so okay. Also, I gave one of the pioneers, I wouldn't say pioneers, one of those who are passionate about the game that is popular on the continent of Africa, but not so big in Nigeria. It should be big, but it is massive in South Africa. One of them, the man who loves rugby passionately, will be on the show also trying to do a recap of his 2023. You don't forget that South Africa won the Rugby World Cup. So I had to go look for Mr. Rugby and ask him to do a recap of 2023 for us, and he will be doing that also on the show. Thank you very much for joining me again. I'll go on a break, and when we come back, we will talk about why we can have the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers on TV. That will be after this time out.
Fantastically finished.
All right, maybe they don't know that most of us are passionate about our national teams, and all over Africa they are passionate about their national teams. And how would you feel not watching Super Eagles on TV when they are playing the FIFA World Cup qualifiers? It's unheard of, and that is what will be the crux of the matter as far as this program is concerned today. Joining me to look at the blackouts is sport journalist and sports business enthusiast. Edithon Obadino joins me. Edithon, good to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me today. I know you have a lot to say about this, but this is where you should bring it on. Yes, looking at the last FIFA window, when we had international break, it was the FIFA World Cup, 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Nigeria played 2 games. I was fiddling with every remote I can lay my hands on. I was trying to make sure to see the Super Eagles on TV, and I was shocked to see that I can't find it anywhere. I don't know whether you got to watch it somewhere, but for me, I can't be ashamed of the fact that I didn't see that game. I was just monitoring via the net and some of the things, commentaries, people were putting out there. But let's talk about it. Do you think we should be having such at this time?
Like you actually pointed out, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the show. Like you actually pointed out, one thing that is vital in all of this is sport business. You have to pay for these things. Gone are the days where people can watch any game anytime without understanding what goes behind the scene in terms of for people to buy the rights to be able to show. And then I guess all this started at the moment FIFA decided to do a central pool for all the podcasters, especially as it concerns Africa. One thing we have to establish is that selling football right that is not the English Premier League or just maybe the UEFA Champions League in Africa is a big task. It's a big ask. Most of the football stations, most of the TV stations do struggle to be able to cough out the money to be able to show some of these games. And if you recall, in previous years, what basically happened in Nigeria is you see the Bond Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. They collectively buy the rights and try to see how many stations that can hook up, but they are not as effective as they used to be anymore. So the blackout was something that sets us back. I know it takes you back to the years you have to listen to radio for the news to hear how the Super Eagles play or the results. Of course, some people do get links that maybe are not logged basically by FIFA. The central pool of broadcast for this World Cup qualifiers is being handled by FIFA Plus through their app, FIFA Plus. And once you try to watch it from Nigeria, of course, you'll be blocked. And that because by their own simulation that if I go to watch a Nigerian match for Nigeria, it should be paid for. That's what I understand. That is not the fact, but that's what I understand by that. But since nobody is taking up right, the regular players, the cable stations, they are not picking up. So it makes it hard for the seller and, of course, we, the fans of the beautiful game in Nigeria, to be able to watch our national team.
But anytime I agree that, of course, it's big money and money should be paid for some of those things. But when you're asking for you're asking for money that cannot be recouped. Of course, you and I know we've spoken to those who are in the business, and they said the same thing. FIFA is asking for so much. And is FIFA really considering those who have to do the broadcasters now, those who will have to go look for who buy the rights to make money of it? Is FIFA thinking about them? Is FIFA looking out for them?
I think FIFA are confused. This is a business show, so in business they say culture hit strategy for breakfast. People's strategy is putting the premium on the podcast, right? For this World Cup qualifiers, it's your country you would love to watch. That's their strategy. But the culture of most African countries is eating up that strategy because what is the need for us if we buy this? It's not as if the fans watching it will readily cover money to do with pay-per-view or anything as such. So there are no guarantees. And of course, we know the economy of most African countries, including Nigeria, the purchasing power keep dwindling. And then, of course, companies are not coughing out enough money in marketing to see that, hey, why should I drop money for a one-off or two games for people to watch and just see an advert when I could pay way, way lesser to just run adverts or do other forms of marketing to sell their products. So the catch is not there. For us, it's mostly nationalism. We're loving to watch our national team, but we do not have the money to pay FIFA. The people that have money to pay FIFA are cutting down most of their marketing budget to be able to fit in. So when FIFA strategy is just to sell to the highest bidder, people will bring premium money, and they have been successful in Europe. They are thinking that will readily work in Africa. For me, that's a big mistake. In this sort of cases, you try as much as possible to look for different options in trying to sell, breaking it down into little packages that could be affordable for countries, for broadcast partners, and of course, sometimes if the broadcasters don't come to you, you can easily go to them and see how much they are able to bring to the table to take up the right. But in the absence of that, thinking how many sports TV stations or even TV stations in Africa can you point to that can readily cover up the money? Look at where CAF is selling most of their TV rights, except for the recent Togolese TV station that picked up the right from CAF. We had mostly stations in the Middle East, in Asia, picking up rights for Africa. That tells you all you need to know about the strength of broadcasting and the ability to pay for such rights in Africa.
I hope that CAF is not going to follow suit because you of course, of course, we have to be blunt. You know that CAF is tied to the apron strings of FIFA, and I hope they are not going that direction when it comes to broadcast rights with some of their products. They still have issues with the CAF Champions League, with some of their main partners, so especially those who do business with them right now. But I hope that we won't have issues when the African Cup of Nations starts later in 2024. Editor.
I think the issues will come, but we are hoping for one or two stations to bail us out. Like what I said earlier on, a broadcast house, a TV station in Togo recently bought the rights for CAF, and of course, they had issues with Lagavia. They resolved with being Sport is back to the table. So, but being Sport, we now talk of where can they show some of these people, stations that have bought the right. Where can they show the right? Does it include Nigeria? You and I know Nigeria does not fall in for being sports, but New World TV in Togo, we are not sure of what they offer, but we are hoping that in the last towards closing dates to the Nations Cup, maybe the regular players will eventually bug into buy this right to show it across sub-Saharan Africa. The problem has always been selling in sub-Saharan Africa. Most of the Northern African countries are carefully and well taken care of in terms of broadcast stations stepping up to pick up the right. But for the general sub-Saharan Africa is where the problem lies. And if you do not have a foothold in Africa in enough countries, it's a waste of funds for you to invest in paying for rights for the sub-Saharan Africa. The only football property that has been successful so far has got to be the English Premier League. That is what most people are investing in, and of course, they are trying to cash in on the huge followership. Brands are falling over it, but we cannot give the same value that you give to the EPL, to the AFCON. As much as it's an African pride, it's the premium football tournament in Africa and all that. But in terms of value proposition to the African continent, in terms of followership, in terms of love, they will give you the numbers that 500 million people watched the last the AFCON in Cameroon. But the question you have, if you ask for that, if you look at the data, is where are the eyeballs coming from? Of course, we got to watch it in Nigeria through some cable stations, but you also question where are mostly the eyeballs come from, because they showed it as far as Europe, and those numbers count for them on the long run. Unless we are able to put the AFCON at a premium level, where every part of the continent, every brand on the continent, operating on the continent, wants to be a part of it, then we might still have some blackout basically on the long run. If you recall, 2013 when we won the last AFCON, Nigeria was not going to watch the final. CAF marketing partner talked about nobody picking up that. It took the federal government of Nigeria to pay the right for our local stations to be able to show it, because we are going to have a blackout for a final that Nigeria was going to be a part of. So that tells you the problematic nature of broadcast rights in Africa and Nigeria especially.
Editor, I think this is one topic that will not go away, because as long as, and data is very, very stubborn. It stares you in the face, and maybe it will also give the leadership of Africa, whether football leadership, whether political leadership, the true picture of what we need to do, because if you want good product like football, you got to pay for it. And the way it's been democratized, pay-per-view, it's becoming the norm now. You pay directly to the subscriber. You can go there, watch, and all that. The products owners like CAF, FIFA, are leaving those who wants to stay back, live in the age of the general terrestrial TV. It seems that they can't wait for them no more. They just want to make money. So before I let you go, we should be thinking out of the box. Don't you think so?
Absolutely, we have to think out of the box. We have to to develop guerrilla tactics to get these rights in front, and as a premium product to sell to major brands. In honesty, CAF has been trying. They've been putting the work, signing up with IMG, helping broadcast stations to take care of production, so that what they basically do is they send a few of their other personnel to take care of some small aspects, which of course cuts the cost of managing the rights, which IMG already producing, and of course covering the cost the larger part of showing the games. With that on the table, then you now talk about selling the rights, and of course, like I said, they have got to break it down to packages that is affordable, breaking down to categories that people can pick up, like games for your country, as much as possible. No of TV stations within a particular region in Africa can pick it up and having presence. We need massive development in broadcasting in Africa, so also West Africa, and we have to find a way to make it competitive. And I think that if I could divert a bit, that's where you are looking at the Nigerian Premier League going on another cable station. All we need is just a successful part of it, and others will really desire it in a way that, okay, it's now finally a premium product because the one particular company that is taking the launch is making a success out of it. But for now, the guerrilla tactics have to be to break it down into small packages that is affordable. So CAF will have to put their need to make so much money on this rights on one part, and then their need to be able to sell their product as a premium product and available for all of Africa. They have to consider way both options. Should you do a blackout while we are looking for money, or should you find a way to just get it in front and hopefully it pays off in the future?
Wow. I just hope that they will still try and look at that, maybe push the product in the eyes of everybody for the eyeballs, and maybe it will attract more sponsorship and attract some of those companies to come put their money. That's the way forward. And let's see how it goes. But like I said, anytime, this conversation is not going away soon. I know we will be back to talk about it when the Nations Cup gets closer, because we never know what could happen. So we keep our fingers crossed. Thank you very much, Anyton, for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It's a pleasure, always. All right, let's talk about sports tourism. Recently, we had a program in Lagos where it was about sports tourism and diplomacy. So these things are very critical. Everybody is jumping in to take advantage, to leverage on sports and the power that sports wield. And you can bring the world together. Sports brings the world together. Sports can generate revenue, can increase your GDP. There's a lot sports can do. So we'll go on a break and we take the next report on sports tourism. Yeah, and we'll be back. Don't go away. Partnerships, collaborations, empowerment, sustainability, and infrastructural development were some of the issues that resonated at the Sports, Tourism, and Diplomacy Forum as sports administrators at different subnational levels speak on how they are putting policies and infrastructure together to promote sports tourism.
We're working on smaller cluster facilities across the state. So we're tapping into our current resources. So the Ministry of Housing and the Ministry of Works and Housing, they are involved. So we have to ensure that we're doing green construction and the equipment used are sustainable. Yeah. So that's one of the things we're working on.
We're trying to work with, like for example, if I go to LCD, that is beside that Jebule, there's one Makana. So if I go to 2 months to have something like that, so they're able to house their own community. So what Lagos City is doing is, as much as government spending our own money to get this done, is welcoming private people to get partnership. You see in Lekki now, they hardly have issues to sporting activities because they have like 2 or 3 within their neighborhoods. They can always go to the evening and burn off.
As the world turns to renewable energy, sports, as one of the human endeavors, is also not left out in championing the use of green energy to power sports facilities for sustainability.
Things that won't require the use of diesel generator and fossil fuel always, because diesel is very expensive. And for that reason, we want to leverage on newer technologies like solar floodlights, solar scoreboard. There's a lot of solar application to sport equipment these days. And so this for us is one key factor that has really helped to put us out there as a reputable company.
Sports tourism can also grow locally through the empowerment of a girl child, collaboration and alignment of objectives.
Because our idea is, since we cannot do it most of the things, we're trying for the clubs to take bigger role in that, and some of the clubs have realized that, yeah, they have a lot of interest in Nigeria, but some of them didn't know how to go about it. But now that we are here, we are guiding the clubs. So I think by next year, you're going to be seeing a lot of clubs come down here, have scouting missions, have coaching trainings, creating opportunities between them and some academies.
It's on us, I think, to go there, to get these people together, to connect them in an organized pathway that eventually would create a protected space for the players. A protected space for them to be there, to grow, and eventually at a certain moment to come back and to invest themselves in expanding this opportunity for many more people.
To maximize Nigeria's sports tourism potentials, the federal and state governments and other stakeholders will have to think global and act local. Welcome back. Yes, South Africa won the World Cup again. Talking about the Rugby World Cup. Rugby is massive in South Africa, and there is someone that is doing rugby, is passionate about rugby, is also trying to build the game to that level where Nigeria too will be reckoned with when you talk about that game rugby. And I just had to ask him, give me a recap of your 2023, because we need to do something about rugby. It shouldn't be about football. It should also be about other sports. So we are celebrating rugby on the show today, and who else will do that for us but no other person than Mr. Rugby himself, Intiese Williams, recapping 2023 for us on the show.
2023 rugby season in Nigeria has been quite exciting in some aspects. First and foremost, there was the lifting of the suspension by the International Rugby, which is a world rugby, on Nigeria. And by so doing, Nigeria was now given the opportunity to compete on the international level. And Nigeria male national team, the Stallions, were privileged to have gone to the Olympic qualifiers in Zimbabwe, and they did quite well. They qualified in the top 10. They actually placed 8th, which was very good for me. Unfortunately, it was predominantly the foreign based, and I believe that we should have actually had more of the domestic players in there, which the coach alluded to it as well. Thereafter, we've had the first female women's national championship, which was held in Asaba, Delta State capital. And Edo State came tops, winning the gold medal, and also making history for being the first team to have won a championship without losing and also without conceding any point whatsoever. Then we moved on to the international scene, where we had the 10th edition of the Rugby World Cup, 15 aside, where we had our senior brothers, South Africa, winning the Rugby World Cup for the 4th time and defeating their arch rival, New Zealand, by just 1 point. South Africa is now known as the 1-point specialist. They beat the host France in the quarterfinals by just 1 point. They beat England in the semifinals by just 1 point. And they also beat New Zealand in the finals by just 1 point to lift the Webb Ellis Trophy Cup for the 4th time. Now, this was also a very sweet victory for them, because they actually won this event back to back. South Africa was the defending champions, and they went back and they won the Rugby World Cup. Here in Edo State, in Nigeria, we had the Ehibam Schools Rugby Tournament. This was the 4th edition, but the 5th year of which this event has been taking place. And This year you had new champions in Yokoba Grammar School and Emota College, emerging champions. This tournament has actually helped Edo State to groom students who have now grown into the National Youth Games, and also we have most of them playing in the Edo State team. Now the Edo State team, as you remember earlier on, went out in July, and won the National Sevens Championship. Now most of them are products of Ehibam, and we're very grateful to the sponsors, the Ehibam Grief Share Foundation. Also, the sister rugby, which is called the Rugby League, had activities. They actually had more activities in terms of they had a league in place, and they also had a national championship. The female side, the Nigerian national female team of the Rugby League, played in the Africa Knockout, which was meant to be home and away against Ghana, and they played against Ghana. We defeated Ghana heavily, 44-6, and we're meant to be having the return leg in Ghana early next year. And by the grace of God, a Nigerian rugby team will actually be at the Rugby League's first World Cup. This is the first World Cup.
All right, that's it for us on today's show. Thanks for joining me, and compliments of the season. I wish you all the best. I'll return some other time for another bumper package of the show. Till then, enjoy, and remember, sports is big money.